What if the final equation of everything is a beautiful distraction, and the real finish line is something much more physical and much more testable? In the energy filament theory, science ultimately converges not on a single sacred formula, but on a complete map of thresholds where the energy sea allows closure, where it refuses, and what upper bounds the sea state imposes. While equations remain compressed summaries built from measured constants set by rulers and clocks. Here's the shift: people treat equations like they are the machinery, but equations are often just the receipts. The machinery is the mechanism, and the true authority is the threshold that decides whether an interaction can click at all. A nightclub analogy makes this painfully clear. You can fit the average crowd flow with a smooth equation all night long, but the real story is the bouncer's door. Below the door's condition, you can push with infinite enthusiasm and nothing happens. And above it, one valid pass triggers immediate entry. So the door is the physics, and the flow equation is the accounting. That's why the most useful way to organize understanding is in layers: a formula layer that summarizes outcomes, a mechanism layer that tells you what is physically rearranging in the energy sea, and a threshold layer that tells you when closure is permitted and what caps the process. Once you adopt that lens, a bunch of separate lessons from this season snap into one backbone. A formula is a compression, not a cause. A threshold sets the yes or no and the ceiling. Many so-called constants are measured constants, meaning they are calibration results from rulers and clocks living inside a particular sea state. Discreteness is not a sticker pasted onto reality. It is what happens when closure and self-consistency force events to be counted in lumps. Probability is not magic. It is closure frequency under fixed geometry. Energy conservation is better read as structural conservation, because what persists is the bookkeeping of what structures form, transform, and relax back into the energy sea. Randomness is not merely ignorance. It is what you get when local coupling, background sea state, and micro-UNC detail all co-UNC author a single closure. Measurement is not a supernatural collapse. It is coupling that rewrites the navigation map. And the quantum world and the cosmic world are not two theories glued together. They are the same medium running at different scales, with different thresholds and different rewriting speeds. And if thresholds are the real finish line, then good science stops worshipping elegance and starts demanding fingerprints for the double slit. You don't just expect interference. You predict how the fringe field shifts when boundaries shift, and how visibility drops when which path coupling rewrites coherence. For entanglement, you don't chant non-local. You demand the exact pattern that marginals stay random while coincidence unmatched correlations remain stable. Changes under basis rotation and collapses under deliberate repairing mistakes. For tunneling, you don't tell an energy lone bedtime story. You measure how the past statistics change with barrier thickness, material interfaces, and noise. Because a tension wall with pores has a very different experimental signature than an abstract potential curve. Then the same threshold logic scales up. Cavity experiments become engineerable vacuums. Tests where scanning a boundary condition across a threshold should produce linked residual changes in emissions and absorption, because you are changing the allowed closures of the local sea state. And the cosmos becomes more thresholds at slower cadences, where large-scale redshifts, pedestal effects, and hard low-frequency floors are not separate miracles but different layers of one long-range navigation map written by the energy sea. So the endpoint of science is not a single line you can frame on a wall. It is the moment you can point to the doorways, say exactly what opens them, say exactly what closes them, and predict the measurable fingerprints when you move the hinges. Tap follow, share it on New Physics, Clear Universe.